So the scene where
okay. We're reviewing The Happening. That was really cold. That was really cold. Okay. So cold. It hurt my throat.
I can hear you, you're like
It was so cold. Hello and welcome to the 26th episode of Good Bad or Bad Bad, the show where we watch terrible movies and tell you if you should too. I am your host, Mr. Brian Shilligo, joined by my co-host. I don't know what it is either, but the hair is looking fabulous today. Mr. Kyle Hinton. Guys, we are gonna review The Happening.
What? No.
another movie that has Brian's ire.
Oh boy. This one, I wasn't expecting it to make me as angry as it did. We're good. These bigger ones that we do, I've always never seen them, which is good. At least, I feel better whenever we do a big, more popular movie.
I don't know
one I've never seen before.
How you can go through your life to this point and have not seen The Happening.
I literally have not, and I realize I haven't even seen, parts of it. I've seen, a clip or two on the internet, posted as, a meme, a spicy meme. But, I've never seen, an actual parts of the movie. This thing's a fucking piece of garbage. It is such a mess. It is so bad. It is, and I've seen some of the other not so good M. Night movies.
I'm not a coward. You're the coward.
So, The Happening. M. Night Shyamalan's.
M. Night Shyamalan. This
Era.
movie is like my favorite bad movie.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great, but it also made me super angry. Let's jump right in, unless you have something you want to get hit on.
This film was a massive success. I don't know if you knew
Financially?
that. Financially.
Really?
$48 million budget, $163 million box office.
Well, probably because the trailers were interesting.
Claire?
The second stage is physical disorientation. The third stage is fatal.
Because it's when you don't know what it is, and that's, I guess, one of my biggest things as I'm watching this movie, and one of the other reasons it made me so angry, apart from some of the sciencey stuff we'll talk about, is how much potential there was in a movie like this. I think, there were some legitimately scary and off-putting moments in this movie. The scene, and we'll talk about it, where the first scene where the cop shoots himself and then drops a gun and somebody else walks over. That's a good, very interesting, well-shot, oh shit, guttural scene. And there's moments like that throughout it that I'm man, there's potential here. The whole thing with people killing themselves, and if it was done in any way competently, it would be a good movie.
What this reminds me of? A Roland Emmerich film.
Hold on to those eggs, dear.
Come on, your bags! Everybody hang on!
Yeah, kind of. A natural disaster type of thing.
It's not as bad as, say, 2012, but...
Which, if you want to hear our thoughts on 2012, you can check out our backlog podcast on patreon.com/GBorBB.
But that's what it felt like, because every so often they cut to some area of the world where, here's people you should care about because of a reason. They'll kill themselves.
Yeah. Let's get right into this piece of shit. Clouds.
Three fucking minutes
of time-lapse clouds.
of clouds.
Time-lapse clouds.
Way to make the most interesting credits for your film.
Yeah, with white titles over them. So it's just like, sweet. All right. So we get titles, Mark Wahlberg, Zoe D, all the best, you know. And they got some good
Costume
talent.
designer.
Costume designer, yeah. So the first thing is the first thing that really got me, and I hadn't never really thought about it. The Happening is a really fucking dumb title for a movie.
Yeah.
It's like calling your movie The Eventening. This thing that happened. Like, it's such a, I don't know. I guess what they were going for was like, it's mysterious. What is it? It's happening. Yeah, exactly. But it just, I'm sitting there thinking, the more I thought about it, I'm like, that's just a fucking dumb title. And when it popped up in full words on the screen, I was like, yeah, that's really dumb.
Yeah.
So.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So Central Park.
And we get right into it. Holy
Central
shit.
Park.
They do not waste time in the movie.
Clearly, the killer of this movie is not just plants. It's the wind. If there's wind anywhere near you, you're dead.
I thought my first thing was when they were, yeah, that's true. But my first thing was when they're sitting in the park and they're like, it's happening in parks. I'm like, oh my god, it's homeless people and panhandlers and street performers.
That would be so much better.
Like if they were
It's the next plot of Condemned video games.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's right. Holy shit, I forgot that game existed. That was a good game, the first one. I never played the second one, but one of the scariest video games I've ever played.
People killing themselves in the park, just getting, spore infected or plant pollen.
Well, we have no idea yet. Yeah, they're sitting there and the lady
The thing that indicates that they are being taken over is they start walking backwards.
They either stop completely and then some of them start walking backwards, which I think what that is, and I could be wrong. We'll get fact checked, I guess. I think the idea is that there's some sort of infection or virus or something that when it infects like ants or something like that, they go backwards or something.
It's the that fungus, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if the whole walking backwards is like part of that, but like in that sense, I think it's like a fungus that makes them crawl up and then die, and then they get
to a high place.
Yeah, and I think it was a similar idea, and I think maybe the walking backwards is supposed to be it's somehow affecting.
If you would like to hear my thoughts on The Last of Us.
Oh yeah, that's true. They did. Yeah. Well, also, if you want to hear thoughts on The Last of Us, you can check out our.
All this is a giant plug for our Patreon.
All of our old episodes of Kyle Hates Everything, the preceding failed podcast. You can check out all those episodes on patreon.com/GBorBB for $2 a month. All right, but spoilers: Kyle hated The Last of Us. Come at him. Kyle, being the one who's going to be providing the dissenting opinion to pretty much everyone in the known universe when he says that The Last of Us is not a good game. I'm going to let him have the floor and try to make his point. I think he will fail.
I will say my biggest problem with this game, as far as what its selling point is the story.
Okay.
I absolutely hate the story.
I really, real quick, needed to look up who that first woman in the park. This really drove me crazy. Oh, I know what she is. She's the girl from Cabin in the Woods.
We should split up.
Yeah, good idea. Really?
So, yeah, stab herself in the neck with a pin. It's kind of, hold up. Ooh, shit. Well, I don't understand. Why was everybody affected except that one girl on the bench, who eventually was, but like initially...
I don't know if she was, though.
Yeah, that's true. She better have been, because if she wasn't, she's completely unaffected by her friend plunging her fucking hairpin into her jugular. Because the camera looks at her and she's just like... like, what are you...
Page 62.
yeah. That's the other thing. She's like, I forgot what place I was at. And she already has the book open and is reading it, and I guess
I forgot where I am.
You're at the place where the killers meet to decide what to do with the crippled girl.
That's right. That's right.
Whatever. So annoying.
The next scene is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. The construction workers.
Yeah.
There's spinning bullshit at the construction site.
Yeah.
And some guy falls off, and they're just like, oh no.
Christ, Mackenzie fell.
Yeah.
Walk over. They call in for an ambulance, and then It starts raining men.
Hallelujah. Yeah, that's a pretty good, creepy. Again, that's another scene that, like, the first 5 minutes of this movie, before you know anything what's happening, is super effective.
Yeah, that scene alone.
Yeah.
And that's why it was in the trailer.
Yeah, that's why it's in the trailer, and that's why so many people went to see it, because you see those kind of shit in the trailer. Like, what is this? This is nuts. And then it just all goes downhill. But I also, and this is a thing that people do in movies all the time, and interested in life, real life, and I don't understand it. And I want to know if you can explain it to me. So the first guy falls on the ground, and they all run over, and he's like all fucked up and dying, but he's still alive. And they're like, call an ambulance. And then he's like, guys, give him room.
Jesus. Give him some room.
And I'm like, what? That's a thing. Give him room. Why are we giving that? What does that do? Why does backing up from a guy? If anything, you should get closer and comfort him as he's dying.
Whoa. It helps them get different camera angles.
That's true. Because I was like, and they do that. People do that in movies all the time. And it's like, oh, give him room. Why?
God in heaven.
All right. And then, so he's dead. Construction worker's dead.
Then we
Cut
introduce
to classroom.
Marky Mark.
Marky Mark.
Look, I don't know if you guys have heard about this article in the New York Times about honeybees vanishing.
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah!
Man.
Waboo.
Mark Wahlberg. So then he comes to his classroom, and he's a science teacher, and he's talking to these kids. He's like, oh, kids, guys.
Where the
bees are
honeybees go?
disappearing.
Where the honeybees go?
Anyway, who's got ideas?
All right, let's hear some theories about why this might be happening.
And I'm like,
Global warming?
and there's like random viruses, and he's like,
Right. Could be a virus or infection. But it's all over the country. It's a coordinated event in 24 states. A little tricky.
so he's asked all this, and it gets to a point where one kid's like, he starts hitting on that one kid. He's like, Joe, you got a perfect face.
Your face is perfect.
You should be more interested in science, Jake. You know why? Because your face is perfect.
And I'm like, whoa, all right, it's getting a little uncomfortable. And then the kid's like, he doesn't like give a shit.
You gotta have an opinion.
Yeah, he's like, gotta have an opinion. It's like, all right, the
natural
event we'll never understand.
An act of nature and will never fully understand it.
And Mark Wahlberg's like, yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Nice answer, Jake.
Yeah, that's a great answer, yeah.
No.
Bullshit answer, okay. And then because Mark Wahlberg said, I gotta go on a little rant. Because Mark Wahlberg goes,
I mean, science will come up with some reason to put in the books. But in the end, it'll be just a theory.
worst fucking science teacher in history. Okay, the word theory in the context of science does not mean what Mark Wahlberg says it means here. He says just theory. Theory is like the most ironclad. You have to test shit so much and do so much research and have it is no legitimately the scientific.
I thought just in general a hypothesis is a theory.
Yeah, that's it. The word theory used. No. A hypothesis is
concrete.
No. Well, yes, but it's different. A law describes a theory. There's nothing past a theory. Law is a little bit different. It's a fundamental like thing. A theory describes a set of. We have science people yelling at me, but I'm getting close. A theory, legitimately, when something graduates to the being like a hypothesis, is the lower level. Like if you have a conjecture and you're testing it and trying to figure out if that's true, that's a hypothesis. When something becomes a theory in the world of science, like legit world of science, not out in the day-to-day term. If you say, "Oh, I have a theory that I farted and it smelled bad," like sure, whatever, that doesn't make any sense. But a theory in science is literally like, we know this is basically true. It would take a monumental shift in our understanding of the universe for this to be disproven. That's what a theory is. And so he says, "Oh, it's just a theory." That's not how that works.
I mean, we will fail to acknowledge that there are forces at work beyond our understanding. To be a good scientist, you must have a respectful awe for the laws of nature.
So, Cameron is in this movie. More importantly.
Alan Ruck. Okay, so somebody comes in and says, like,
Yeah.
the principal's, like, holding a faculty, emergency faculty meeting and wherever.
What can we do for you?
I'm afraid I have to interrupt you for a moment, Mr. Moore.
Alan Ruck's the principal of the school for some reason.
Yeah. It was like, oh shit, Cameron became the authority he hated. Like he became his father. That's sad. And then I was like, oh, he's gonna be like an important character because no, he's in one scene.
Yep,
exactly.
One exact scene.
I'm like, all right, cool. So, but basically, they're like, "Oh, we're letting school out, and because they're evacuating Jersey. Are they in Jersey or
I think they're in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia?
Because M. Night's got to jerk off Philadelphia and everything.
Yeah, well, they're one of those places. I think they're in Philly. New York? It doesn't matter. So they got to evacuate because they're having all these. They're like, oh, maybe there's like a terrorist attack or something. People are killing themselves in the parks, and we don't know what's going on. So we're getting people out of the city. And so they start all running away. And we are, like you said, we're introduced to Luigi. John Leguizamo is like Mark Wahlberg's friend teacher, who's a math teacher. And he says something along the lines of he's talking to his mom, and she was scared, or I don't know. He said something along. I told him about I gave her some percentages because percentages comfort people.
I told her the probability of something happening in Philadelphia is very low. I mean, nobody's telling us to leave the city, right? So I threw some figures at her. It's good to be a math teacher sometimes. You know, people are comforted by percentages.
And I was like, fucking bullshit.
No.
People are not comforted by percentages.
No.
People don't buy percentages for shit.
If you say somebody has like a 90 or 95% mortality rate,
yeah,
that's not going to help them.
Oh, yeah, and he's like, oh, the odds are... Like, if people actually cared about percentages, nobody would play the lottery. And then, so, I was like, all right, what are the odds that Zooey Deschanel is going to be a manic pixie in this movie? She's not. But her first scene, she's looking pretty manic. Because she's like having a fucking staring contest with a cell phone. Because the phone keeps ringing, and the name Joey's popping up.
She's fucking the dude.
Yeah. No. She's not actually. Which is fucking crazy. So, Mark Wahlberg gets home, and they're like, all right, we gotta get out of the city. And they get ready to start evacuating. And this is where, like, their dialogue is the first time I noticed. I'm like, every delivery and every line of dialogue is, like, just a half step off.
It makes you kill yourself. Just when you thought there couldn't be any more evil that could be invented.
From what it should be. Like, it's just barely not
I am
right.
convinced that M. Night doesn't hand people scripts until the day of.
That's what it seems like. Or something. Because everybody's delivery's just...
Which, by the way, makes sense for Bruce Willis in successful movies like The Sixth Sense. Bruce Willis is the kind of actor who will take a script and go, yeah, we're not doing this. Not doing this today. There we go. Okay,
yeah,
we'll shoot this scene.
Wait, well, let me ask you a question. Who's your second choice to play John McClane?
Okay, so then they evacuate and they get to like the train station where they're gonna start, and they meet up with John Leguizamo. And John Leguizamo decides to be a shithead. Well, because earlier he was telling Mark Wahlberg, he's like, oh, because he knows that Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel had a fight. And he's like, yeah, I saw her at the wedding. I could tell she didn't want to marry you.
I walked into a waiting room by mistake, and she was crying. She looked up. I saw her face. She wasn't ready to jump in, Elliot. That's not who she is. She's never going to jump in when you need her, man.
It's like, what the fuck?
Wow.
All right. And then later, when they meet up with him again, him and his daughter, because John Leguizamo has a daughter, they meet up with him at the train station. And John Leguizamo says to her, he's like,
how are you?
Good, you?
Good.
Okay, good. Why don't
I'm really
we
glad you chose to come.
Why are you starting shit? If I was Mark Wahlberg, what he does, he's like, what is your fucking problem, man?
Should have decked him one.
I was like, dude, chillax. You gotta fucking find your chill, man. Jesus.
What is the shit that happens on the train? Because, like, people are getting information.
Yeah, they start getting calls. So they get on the train, they're going out of the city. And they, like, she's talking to Joey at one point, or Joey's calling her.
You've got to stop calling me. You're acting like the fatal attraction guy here. I feel like I'm gonna take a shower and see your silhouette on the shower curtain.
But then everybody starts getting calls because they realize, like, it's spreading or something like that. Like, it's happening in more areas. Mm-hmm. And then they stop at a train station. And this is so funny. This is such a stupid little thing. But they stop. The train stops, and they're at a train station. And Mark Wahlberg's like, "What's going on?"
Now what?
And I'm like, "Well, sometimes trains stop at train stations, Mark Wahlberg."
They have like 6 conductors all huddled together, like they're conducting like a football play or something.
Yeah, I just love that. Like when it stops at a train station, everybody's like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" It's like, it's a train station. That's what trains do. Why are you freaking out? And so he goes and talks to the conductors, and again, the dialogue. He's like, what's going on, guys? What's going on? And they're like, we had to stop. Train stopped. And he's like, why are you giving me one useless piece of information at a time?
What do you mean? Where are we?
Filbert, Pennsylvania.
Filbert? Does anybody know where that is? Why are you giving me one useless piece of information at a time? What's going on?
Who wrote that line? Guys, why are you giving me one useless piece of information at a time? Well, guys.
How much do you...
Why would you just stop?
Do you think he was forcefully trying to stop his Boston accent?
I don't know. Yeah, he does a pretty good job. But maybe that's why he sounds so fucking stupid all the time.
Hey, why would you just stop? You can't just leave us here.
Guys, why are you giving... Well, guys, I don't know. His delivery is just... again, half step off. It's so weird.
Why are you giving me one useless piece of information at a time? What's going on?
And then he decides... Again, the science teacher decides to peddle fucking mood rings to children and act like they're real, just to comfort that little girl, which, fucking whatever.
This ring can supposedly tell you what you're feeling.
This lady gets a video sent to her on a phone, and it's the lion attack. And they all gather around to watch.
That footage is amazing.
I found it hard to believe in 2008 that was the best composite of a guy into the lion's thing that they could do, because it does not look great. But it is pretty great when he gets his arm ripped off. So they're all at this cafe, and they decide, we gotta get the fuck out of here, because we were 90 miles, like, they show like a map on TV of like where this is happening, and there's none outside this certain range, and they're like, we're only like an hour from there, let's just go. Mm-hmm. And this is what I don't understand. So this whole train of like hundreds of people were in this town, and then they all leave, and everybody gets in cars and drives away. Where did they get those cars?
Yeah.
Because Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel don't have a car, and they're like...
Excuse me, sir? Sir, can we get a ride, please? We don't have any transportation. We're stuck here. Sir, did you hear what I said? We don't have any transportation. We have a little girl with us, please.
Where did all the people in trains get those cars? Because they're the only people left. How did all the train... What? Where did all the people go? So stupid. But luckily they find one guy.
My favorite goddamn character in this movie.
The botanist.
Hi. I run a plant nursery up the street. We're picking up a few things from home, then heading wherever this isn't happening. Wherever this isn't happening.
Or the ripped flower grower.
He's got like the greatest beard ever, and his nose is ever so slightly.
He is a very interesting character. He's great. So he is like, hey, we grow plants a couple of miles from here. We got to stop by our house, but you can ride with us. And so they're like, cool. And he's like, John Turturro, let's go. And John Turturro, who has this whole time been trying to get a hold of it. I did it. Oh, I finally did it. And John Turturro, fucking John Leguizamo, has been trying to get a hold of his wife this whole time, who stayed behind to look for a present for their daughter.
She was looking for a birthday present for Jess. Some kind of dollhouse. That's why she wasn't with us.
At the worst possible time. Why are you going shopping when like a fucking apocalypse is happening?
Well, there's no lines.
It's true. It's true. So he's like, he hasn't been able to get a hold of her in like a couple hours, so he's worried. And she was in Princeton. Mm-hmm. So he finds a car that's going to Princeton. And he's like, look, take my daughter. I gotta go get my wife. And there's like this big heartfelt moment.
I'm just gonna go get her, and I'm gonna bring her back, and I'm gonna find you guys. I need you to take Jess, okay? She's gonna be a lot safer with you. Don't do this to me. I'm doing my best here not to fall down.
I'm sure the probability of Princeton not being hit is good.
And I'm like, I don't fucking care. We've never seen his wife. I've never met her. If there was a scene, like they try to tug your heartstrings here, I'm like, I don't give a shit about these people. We're 10 minutes into the movie and never even seen his stupid fucking wife. I don't care.
Well, he's like, here, take care of my daughter. And this line delivery is amazing.
Oh my god. Yeah, he goes, here, he's like begging them to take his daughter. He's like, take her, or not begging. He's like, guys, take her, keep her safe. And then, so Zooey Deschanel goes, okay, we'll take her, and takes her hand.
I got her, Julian.
Don't take my daughter's hand unless you mean it.
He's like, don't take my daughter's hand unless you mean it! And I was like, what the fuck? You asked them to do it, they said, yes, we'll do it, and then you flipped out on them. What is happening?
daughter's hand unless you mean it.
And they are good friends,
yes!
by the way.
Yeah, it's not like they're...
I mean, John Leguizamo was at their wedding.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess because he just said it to Zooey Deschanel because he doesn't like her right now because she thinks she's cheating on Mark Wahlberg or something. I don't know, but it was so weird. I was like, all right, weirdo. Like, we did the thing you asked. Okay.
I'm gonna go get Mommy. Hold our picture.
He leaves, gets in the car with them, drives away, and then we go to the plant, the nursery where this guy works.
Do you get the subtle juxtaposition of the where they drive up to the nursery, the plant nursery?
What I don't remember the shot.
Nuclear.
Nuclear. Yeah, it does.
Reactors.
In the background. Yeah. So he goes. They get to the nursery. He's like, the plants are doing this.
I think I know what's causing this. You do? It's the plants. They can release chemicals.
I'm like, what? Well, we solved that mystery.
Thank God we're in the room with him.
Yeah.
Thank God we're in the room with him.
Yeah. He's like, it's the plants. They do shit like this. And now we don't believe him because he's a kooky weirdo. Like, and Zooey Deschanel's like, he's fucking crazy. Cause he has the great line about hot dogs.
We're packing hot dogs for the road. You know, hot dogs get a bad rap. They got a cool shape. They got protein. You like hot dogs, right?
Packing hot dogs. You guys like hot dogs, right?
Hot dogs.
Good protein.
You like hot dogs, don't you?
Oh, he's so quirky. What a fun character. They start to get on the road. Then we cut back to John Leguizamo in the car with his people. And this scene is fucking bonkers.
Hang on. Let's talk about the people in the car. You got some people freaking out in the back.
Just the one girl. Because, they come around a corner and there's a bunch of people that have hung themselves.
What, like 5 people in the Jeep, right?
4. It doesn't matter. Yeah, 4 or 5, yeah.
You have people freaking out in the back. Then you have John Leguizamo
in the front,
like looking at, oh shit's going down. I gotta keep people calm. And then the driver of our Jeep is one Brian O'Halloran, aka Dante from Clerks.
That's right. Forgot. You know, you told me he was in this movie, and I still didn't miss him. I missed him completely.
They don't show his face.
Okay.
They show his eyes, and they show the goatee.
Okay.
And that's all you need.
Yeah, I was so focused on the nonsense happening in this scene that I couldn't care about any of that. So, the girl starts freaking out because I saw a bunch of people hung themselves, and which she, understandably is like, holy shit, those people are dead. And then, so John Leguizamo calms her down by doing math problems at her.
I'm gonna give you a math riddle, okay? And you're gonna tell me the answer.
He's like, quick, all right, look at me, do this math problem. You get a penny every day, it doubles every day. How much money you got at the end of the month?
$10.
She's like, $1? And I'm like, you're stupid. Are you stupid?
$30. It has to be $30.
Yeah, it's got it. No, it's 30. I know it's 30.
30. It's 30. It's $30.
It's like, no, it's like $1 million.
I'm gonna tell you the answer. It's over $10 million.
Fucking doubling. That's how that shit works.
Fucking
doubling.
How do they work?
I love this. They're like, oh shit, it's here. And they turn off the air conditioning and make sure all the windows are rolled up, and they shove stuff in the vents.
Close the vents.
But then John Leguizamo looks up. And there's a little tiny hole.
Oh no!
That's not how air works! This is so preposterous to me because they're already in a place where this has happened because we've seen bodies and they had the air conditioning on and shit. And 2, they're in a soft top Jeep. It's not like it's airtight, except for one tiny little hole in but they play it like this big. He's like, oh god. It's like, fuck, you would already be, the hole doesn't mean jack shit when you're in a fucking car like that. Air gets in. You can't stop it. And that happens so many times in this movie where people are like, oh, just stay inside.
You just stay in your room.
It's like, oh, we don't live in hermetically sealed things. Air comes into the places we live all the time. You can't, it doesn't work that way. It's so fucking stupid. Stay away from the window with the tree!
Tell her not to go near the window with the tree. Just tell her.
It's a scene in this movie where Mark Wahlberg and they're on the phone with this girl, and the girl's like, everybody's dead outside, and she's like, and she's like, I can see by the window with the tree, and then Mark Wahlberg's like, stay away from the window with the tree. It's so fucking stupid. I hate this movie.
You went absolutely full Bill O'Reilly there for a second.
How dare you?
Air goes in, plant goes out. You can't explain that.
It's true. But it's just like they act like the air, if they like shove a towel under a door, the air can't get in. It's like, that's not how this works.
You can't explain that.
God!
Do you need another Miller Lite?
No. I need some water, though. So, then the guy crashes the Jeep. And
Dante floors it.
Yeah, and crashes it into a tree and flies through the windshield. And then John Turturro gets out, but he seems very... Like, I was like, oh, is he all right? Because he doesn't seem as, like, zombie, like, out of it as the rest of them.
He sits down in the most Tom Brady pose possible.
Yeah. But he sits down, and he looks, like, just upset. He doesn't look like the rest of the people are like... And kill themselves. He's like, oh, shit. Oh, this sucks. And I'm like, wait, what? But then he picks up a piece of glass and fucking slits his wrist. I'm like, okay. Well, he's gone already. Too bad I didn't care about him, because he was in the movie for 10 minutes, and I just don't care. I think I said John Turturro again. Whatever. And John Turturro gets out.
Back to Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah, so they are driving, and it is at this point, and they run into a military guy coming from a military base.
This guy looks, he's dressed in fatigues. He does not present himself as such.
He is fucking just out of his mind, like upset all the time in this movie. But this is so stupid. So he goes, I just came from the military base this way. And he goes, and I didn't see anybody there, but there was bodies in the barbed wire fence.
I think they've been affected by whatever's happening. I lost communication with them. When I approached the base, I saw military personnel in the barbed wire, in the fence.
You saw people there. They're in the fence.
Yeah. But first, on top of that, why would that be how on a military base the people killed themselves?
Yeah.
Climb into there's guns! They all have guns, right?
You could pull off some Kim Jong-un type shit where you're killing people with anti-aircraft like fire.
Yeah. But I just didn't understand where I was like, well, that's the thing. Later, it turns out that the fucking stuff can make you attack, like try to spread it, it seems like, with the old lady at the end. I think we'll talk about it later. If that was the case, these people should have been killing... anyway, but I was like, why would they crawl into barbed wire to kill themselves when they're on a fucking military base? There's a million ways that it's so easy to kill yourself. Why would you crawl... It was like, oh, it's like trying to kill yourself with like fucking... By paper cutting yourself to death. Like, when you have a fucking machete next to you.
So, now...
Who's Joey?
Who's Joey?
No one.
Who's Joey?
Oh, it's no one.
Oh my god.
No, just say anything. My cousin, my uncle, my friend. No one.
So a huge group of people all met up at like the same crossroads in the middle of Philadelphia somewhere.
Because they realize, oh, it's every direction. Let's just hang out here.
Yeah, and they said, all right, we need to start heading west in groups.
We should go into 2 groups.
Yeah.
And so they start splitting up. But the way they split up is kind of disproportionate.
Well, and this doesn't make any sense. He goes, well, we got to go in groups. The first group's going to go is people that are ready to go right now.
Those that are ready to go right now.
Second group, people that need to get stuff from their car.
Those that need to get things from their cars. We need to stay in groups.
How long does it take to get stuff from your car? 2 seconds.
They bring up a dude who's a real estate agent for the area.
Yeah.
Now, this is Mr. Collins. He's a realtor that works in this area.
And he knows where their building places.
Yeah. And so, but they go in 2 groups. And Mark Wahlberg's in the first group. And it's a slightly smaller group because people had to go get stuff from their car, which, whatever. It's so contrived because they just needed to split them up into groups so they could figure this out. But they're groups that are like 100 feet from each other. But he has a whole sentence about, we'll go in 2 groups. You're not really in 2 groups if you're like, can see each other. Like, that's a one group just...
But this is where the wind starts becoming like the killer of the film.
Which is ridiculous and silly.
The wind's coming through, and the officer, like the private's starting to walk backwards.
Yeah.
Or no, he just screams out a line.
Oh, he goes, "My gun is my friend," blah, 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 something.
He goes Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, some military thing that they say.
My firearm is my friend! It will not leave my side!
Private Oster.
My firearm is my friend.
And then they start shooting them.
I was like, no, beard guy.
Is he in that group?
Yeah, he was in that group.
Oh yeah, he is. So and then we start hearing gunshots.
Never get those hot
and
dogs.
we get my favorite delivery. Tied for my favorite delivery in the whole movie. That when me and my girlfriend were watching this movie.
Set this up for a second. All we're hearing in the background is gunfire going off.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This line, literally, I laughed for like 30 straight seconds after it happened. You start hearing the gunshots, and it cuts to a close-up of Mark Wahlberg, and he just goes,
Oh no.
Oh no. And like, the most, like, the way you would say, oh no, like, if you found out, like, your kid, like, didn't get a good grade at school, oh no. It's his reaction to people killing themselves 50 feet away.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Everybody's freaking out.
Yeah, everybody's freaking out.
We have to do something. We can't just be, uneventful bystanders.
What do we do?
We need to do something!
Just let me think.
They're dying!
I need a second. They released it? We're not near the road.
We can't just stand here as the uninvolved observers!
I need a second, okay?
We can't just stand here as the uninvolved observers!
Yeah, she's like, we can't do nothing like everybody else. Like, what are you supposed to do? They've got guns and they're killing themselves. Like, what?
There's spores and shit over there.
Yeah, what do you want to do? I mean, what is your plan?
Say spores like this fungus.
Yeah,
pollen.
Whatever it is. Yeah, some neurotoxin or something. And Mark Wahlberg is freaking out. He's like, give me a second! Everyone, give me a second! And then he's like to himself. It's like, come on, douchebag, do science, douchebag.
Just a second.
There were children in that room. Elliot, please tell us what to do.
I need a second, okay? Why can't anybody give me a goddamn second? Be scientific, douchebag.
In that situation, I think M. Night was like trying to give him direction, and Mark Wahlberg just have to go, just shut up, Bill.
Shut up, everybody, shut up. It's so great. But he's like, figure it out, do science, figure it out.
Identify the variables. That's the two groups. Design an experiment. That's what we're freaking in. Careful observation measurement. That's what I'm trying to do.
Out of nowhere,
we gotta run from the wind.
Out of nowhere, Rick comes up with the idea that it was because that was a bigger group.
Something in this field could be releasing the chemical into the air when there's too many of us together.
And the trees and plants were attacking them because that was a bigger group. And that it's being carried on the wind. So we need to stay ahead of the wind.
Let's just stay ahead of the wind.
That's not a fucking thing. Stay ahead of the wind? How do you stay ahead of wind? Does he mean stay upwind? That would make sense.
We're not even getting into the dumbest thing explained, which is, why are the plants doing this?
Well, you mean
one person's explanation is plants can't get up and run away, so their only solution is to rapidly evolve.
Yeah, rapidly evolve.
What, within a single generation?
Yeah, like real quick. Yeah, it's fucking nonsense.
Let's just break up into groups.
We gotta stay ahead of the wind. I'm like, fuck you can't stay ahead of wind. You can't outrun wind. It's so fucking stupid. But then they start trying to outrun the wind, and you literally cuts back and forth between them running and the wind blowing up the plane behind them. And I'm like, oh no, what is happening?
So now they split the group even more so, and now it's just Marky Mark, Zooey Deschanel, a little girl, and these two teenage kids. And that's the group. But they run across like a house or like a subdivision.
It's the
real estate properties that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they go in there and everything's fake. And the only thing I could think of was like, Oh no, they walk on a nuclear test
I know.
site.
Initially, that was my first thought. I'm like, wait, no, they're in the middle of Pennsylvania. Never mind. But I thought the same thing. I was like, is this going to be like Indiana Jones where you have to get in a refrigerator?
But there's the scene where he just gets done looking through the books and stuff, and he's looking at.
But real quick, I know what you're going to talk about. But real quick before that, when he says like he's looking at a map in that room, because I know what you're talking about, which is great. But he's looking at a map in that room, and he says a line. He's like, "Okay, well, we got to get away from population centers because that's what's affecting the most. It's attacking big groups of people."
But if it is, and people are setting it off in groups, we need to go to the least populated place we can to be safe.
And Zooey Deschanel, right after him, goes, yeah, I think what we should do is get out of population. She says the exact same thing he said, the sentence after.
Whatever it is, terrorists, a nuclear leak, plants, it's probably safe to get away from people right now.
I was like, what? All right. And then, just the best moment. And this is where it really starts to take off, and I'm like, what is the fucking tone of this movie? What the fuck is the tone of this fucking film? Because Mark Wahlberg,
he sees a plant in the corner of the room and walks up to it. And starts talking to it. Like, we're not going to do anything bad. We're just going to get what we need and leave. We're not going to affect you in any way.
Hello? My name is Elliot Moore. Just going to talk in a very positive manner, giving off good vibes.
And then he grabs a hold of the leaf. He's like, I'm
fake.
talking to a plastic plant.
Yeah.
Plastic. I'm talking to a plastic plant. I'm still doing it.
I think that was Mark Wahlberg realizing in that moment just of,
how fucking
I'm
stupid
talking
this movie
to a
is.
plant.
But M. Night, are we doing this?
Am I really talking to a plant? Okay, but I love the way they reveal it. It's hysterical. Like it's like a comedy beat but it's supposed to be scary. I think I don't know because he literally looks up and it's like a slow pan up and it's like, oh my god, like it's like if the killer was in the corner of the room, but it's a fucking tree and it's just the most. Oh, it's so silly. Which is so much where the tone goes back and forth.
The scene that immediately follows that is where he's walking through the house and they're revealing like it's just fake prop setup stuff. And the kid's like, "Hey, look, there's nothing coming out of this glass."
Yeah.
And then it follows through Mark Wahlberg hitting on like this monitor because it's fake.
Yeah.
He goes into this room with this other kid in front of the table. He's like, "Why is this happening?"
Why is this happening?
And I was like, "Good question."
That's how I feel about this movie. So then they see a guy lay down in front of a lawnmower, which again is kind of great. Like, but it's the fucking...
Except for all the security measures on a lawnmower that will never let you do that.
Sure, he somehow broke it so he could do that. Yeah, right. But again, it's kind of like oh shit, like, and again, that's one of the shots in the trailer because all the interesting, scary, creepy shit like that's actually cool is in the trailer, and it's all like, but it's so back and forth because he was just talking to a plant. And now we're watching. Now we're supposed to be scared of a guy getting run over by a
whoever made that trailer got paid well.
Yeah, exactly. So then they decide to leave. They decide to go further out in the middle of nowhere. And I love this scene because it's like something out of a fucking Judd Apatow movie. So he finds out, she confesses, Zooey Deschanel at some point confessed to Mark Wahlberg, oh, Joey was this guy I had dessert with.
There was this guy, Joey. His name is Joey. He's at work. We went out and we had dessert. I went out and I had dessert with him when I told you I worked late, and I didn't work late.
We didn't do anything. We just went out to work and had dessert.
Yeah, whenever I told you I was working late, I was having dessert with.
I think they legitimately mean she just went and got dessert, though. I don't think so, because the way they play it, I don't think she fucked him. I think it's actually like, I think she just feels super guilty. Like, I think it's supposed to, like, be kind of cute. Like, oh, she feels so guilty that she just went and had dinner with this guy. But nothing actually... Anyway. But so she confesses that. So then, like, the scene after this, they're walking. And Mark Wahlberg is like, this one time... And the comedy of this is great. Great comedy. He was like, I was at a pharmacy.
I was in a pharmacy a while ago. There was a really good-looking pharmacist behind the counter.
Real good-looking pharmacist
Real
behind the
good-looking
counter.
pharmacist. I went up
Asked where the cough syrup was.
Really good-looking. I went up and I asked her where the cough syrup was. I didn't even have a cough.
I didn't even have a cough.
It was like $6 a bottle.
And I almost bought it. And I'm talking about a completely superfluous bottle of cough syrup. That's like $6.
So good. But it's great comedy. But it's like, where is this now? We just watched a guy get run over by a lawnmower, and then the next scene is kids getting shot in the face with a shotgun. What is happening?
Well, and the kids giving Mark Wahlberg relationship advice.
Yeah, oh my God.
You need to take personal responsibility for yourself in a relationship. That'll make a difference.
Okay, thank you.
It's just bonkers. This movie is just bonkers.
Why is there a radio out in the middle of
on a fence?
nowhere?
Just sitting on a fence? Oh no.
Well, yeah, they go up to this boarded up house to get like food or whatever to see if they can get food. And there's people in
hold on. The girl's swinging. And Mark Wahlberg goes,
maybe that's not a good idea?
Maybe that isn't a good idea.
No.
Why is that not a good idea? What? I mean, what is it? Okay, fuck. I didn't fucking know. I didn't understand that line. Maybe that's not a good idea. Why is that not a good idea? What? And then, like, they play it ominous because, like, oh, the tree limb looks like it might break. And if you break that tree limb, the tree's gonna get you, I guess. I don't fucking know.
We're perfectly normal. Oh, Blackwater, keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me?
So they're like
yeah, knocking
on it, beating it and everything. They're like,
Like,
nobody's
somebody
here.
in there.
Let's just break in. Let's just break in.
Yeah. The kids. They have 2 kids with them now, yeah.
And then they find out people are there, and they think that it's like a terrorist attack.
You best leave now. You ain't gonna bring that poison gas in here with you.
Sir, it's not poison gas. There's none out here.
They said to stay inside.
We're fine right now. Nothing's happened out here yet. I mean, you can see that. Just listen to our voices.
And they pull out a shotgun and blow that kid's chest cavity open.
No!
And I also, I was like, holy shit! They just fucking, holy shit! But it really annoyed me that, and again, the scene before this was Mark Wahlberg making funny jokes about pharmacists. Like, it's so crazy. But what really annoyed me is, like, Mark Wahlberg keeps telling the kid to stop trying to break in. But he doesn't stop the kid.
Jess, come here.
Josh, stop it. Josh, stop it!
Like, he's like, stop it, Tyler.
Stop it.
And it's like, dude, go stop him. Like, what are you doing? But then even crazier, because the other kid wasn't doing anything. He was just like knocking on the window.
Yeah, he's looking through the window.
Yeah, the other kid at least was like trying to kick down the door. So like, but like the shotgun barrel comes peeking out of the thing, fucking blows a fucking hole in this kid's head, and I'm like. What? Like, where did this come from? Like, and I just, the tone is so, but I can't take it seriously at this point because it's so stupid that, like, I can't fathom that I'm supposed to, like, find this engaging or, like, that this is supposed to be, like, affecting me in some way other than this is ridiculous and stupid because your movie's tone is just everywhere and makes no sense. And
So they're running. They get out of there. And they run across this, what looks like an abandoned house.
Yeah.
It's just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they find the craziest fucking old person there.
Why are you eyeing my lemon drink?
So they go inside and they're having dinner with her. And this lady's just fucking insane.
Well, she makes a statement like I wasn't expecting guests, and Zoe just now makes an offhand comment that you would if you're at somebody's house. You're like, oh, this is a very beautiful place you got here, and then she just goes on a random talk about there's a spring house out back that's got a speaking tube in it.
Yeah,
this is a beautiful place. There's a spring house in the back. They used to hide people from slave chasers back there. It has a speaking tube running under the ground to the main house.
They used to hide slaves on like the Underground Railroad or whatever there or something like that. And it's like, and yeah, it's got a tube, you can talk, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that'll ever come back.
That's like that is the most random fucking thing she says, and it serves no purpose with that scene.
No. It's so
stupid. And it's literally just there so it can be a setup.
Yeah, so we can set it up. It's fucking, ugh. Yeah, it's like I said, it's like, oh, I wonder if that'll play a part.
And then she slaps the girl's hand.
Yeah, they're eating dinner, girl reaches for food on the table right in front of her, and she's like...
Don't touch things that aren't yours.
Do that.
Don't touch things that aren't yours.
Yeah. You're a fucking bitch.
They're gonna stay there the night. She offers them a room.
Yeah.
And this is where
This is great.
The scene happens.
Yeah.
It's
This is the one.
It's just known as the scene.
It's like the only scene I had seen from this movie.
Zoe and the kid are going to sleep, and Mark Wahlberg's gonna go.
Well, they're sitting. He's talking to Zoe Deschanel, and she's like, I don't like this lady. We should get out of here." And he's like, "Well, just stay the night. She's just different."
I don't like this woman. There's something exorcisty about her. How could she hit just like that?
And they hear a creak in the hallway.
Yeah, and so he goes to check it out, and she's like, planning on
leering in the hallway in her nightgown.
I hear you whispering.
Planning on stealing from me?
Planning on stealing something?
No, ma'am, we're not.
What? No.
Planning on murdering me in my sleep?
No. What? No.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No.
Fucking most unconvincing. Like, dude, what? And this is where it just, what? No.
M. Night, are we good on that? Do we need another one?
No. It's just, this is where I got to the point, and this is my theory, and I don't know if it's true. It's just my hypothesis I came up with. Call back. Here's my theory. At this point, with how ridiculous all of this is and the deliveries, I feel like it's somewhere in the process they realized this is terrible. Right? And they go, here's what we do. We intentionally use like the worst takes. Cause like the first half, there's not as much bad of not like terrible lines and takes and shit. It really starts in the second half, and I think they realized how bad it was, and they're like, let's just make a good bad movie. Like the editor, and they were like, and so they started putting, because there was no excuse for the way Mark Wahlberg delivers. What? No.
What? No.
Like there's no excuse for that being in your film. It's mind numbing, and I'm like, did they do this on purpose? They're like, you know what? We have these ridiculous takes. Let's put them in.
You're going to hate me for saying this. I think Mark Wahlberg is a competent actor.
Oh no, I don't hate you.
Okay,
I think he's a great actor at times.
Good.
He can be, yeah.
I know how crazy he gets on certain things. I think The Fighter is a great movie.
Yeah.
I think Mark Wahlberg,
he's great in The Departed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy.
It's just when you hand him absolute garbage that you're clearly not getting any direction for, and you're clearly getting it handed to you in segments, so you have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
This is the end result.
He's an actor that needs a good director and a good script. Like he's a good cog, and he can also play like a fun lead like in certain movies. Like he despite how terrible, and if you want to hear more about it, you can listen. And how terrible the Transformers 4.
Just plug all of it.
Despite how terrible Transformers 4 was. He's a charismatic guy, and he can play that. But in order for him to be really good in a movie, he needs a really good director.
Mm-hmm. And even if the movie's bad, he's the kind of guy who he knows it's bad going into it.
Yeah,
he can have fun with it.
Like Transformers, it's kind of how it felt. Like there's that fucking great scene.
I'm sure he read the script and was like, "This is stupid. $20 million?
Yeah,
let's have fun with this film."
So he walks into a room the next morning to and I was like, "Oh, is she dead?"
Walks in there, he's like, there's a fucking doll.
The creepiest fucking doll ever.
And just looking around, and then she's behind him.
Stealth old lady.
Crazy lady.
You trying to steal my things?
Claims that he's stealing from her.
Yeah.
And he's like, no.
No, Mrs. Jones, I actually wanted to talk with you.
No.
What are you doing? No. And then she just screams at him and says, get out. And then she leaves.
In this region, it's not safe.
Leave
Yeah. And then she goes out in the garden, and he goes after her, and he's like, hey, lady, can we just talk calmly for a second? I'm a teacher.
Mrs. Jones, could we talk calmly for a second? Just hear me out. See, I'm a teacher.
I'm like, no, what about any of your interactions with this woman makes you think she will have a calm, rational conversation with you, Mark Wahlberg? She's fucking insane. Just leave. Just leave. Actually, I was like, just push her down the stairs and say she killed herself.
Nobody's gonna know.
Nobody's gonna know.
So if you ever want an excuse to kill somebody, I mean, just, not that
either of us would ever kill a person.
She lives alone. She is elderly. She lives far away from society and has no means of communication. And nobody really cares that she's out there. So if you ever wanted an excuse to kill somebody...
More importantly than all of that, it's during an event where people are just killing themselves.
Yes. Just do it, Mark.
Just do it, Mark. Come on. Okay, so then it hits her. Like, she's out in the garden and it hits her.
It hits her and then she hits the wall a lot.
And this is where I thought maybe, because then he realizes, she starts walking backwards and he's like, oh shit, and he gets inside and he shuts all the doors. And I love that first he just shuts the screen door and I'm like, that's not gonna work. And then he shuts the main door. But he hides in a room and he's like, where are they at?
He can hear them.
Oh yeah, he can hear them. He thinks they're in this room.
He thinks they're in the
and I was like,
basement or whatever.
Well, this is obvious what this is. Because earlier in the movie she says, oh, you can hear them just like they're right next to you or whatever, with the little tube thing. And I thought I knew where the end of this movie was going, and I hoped I knew where it was going, because it would be so much better than what happens, I think. But
I need your hypothesis. Let's get into your hypothesis first. How is this going to end?
Here's what I thought was going to happen. So he gets in the room. Well, we can set up a little bit more first. He gets in the room, and I knew it was like, okay, they're going to be in the other part of the thing. And he hears them, and he looks out and sees that they're out in the little second guest house area or whatever, like the garage, where the other end of this tube is. And he tells them, he's like, hey, guys, the thing's here. Shut the doors. And again, this is the oldest rickety ass. There's no way shutting a door and a window keeps all that shit out of this old fucking creaky house. But anyways. So they shut and they get inside and they're sitting there talking. And what I thought was going to happen was that he was going to, because there's been this whole thing with their relationship and it's been on the rocks the whole time. And what I kind of hoped was going to happen because of the tube thing was that he was going to, it was somehow like either the old lady was still going to be alive and break a window in his room or something. Mm-hmm. And so it was going to get in. And his last act was going to like tell her how much he loved her, blah, blah, blah. And then he was going to save them by like plugging up the pipe. And then he would die. And then they would somehow live, blah, blah. I don't know. Who cares how they lived? It's some bullshit. But, like, there would be, like, that moment. I thought Mark Wahlberg was going to die. He was going to, like, kind of not sacrifice himself, but his last act was going to be saving them. Mm-hmm. And then they would go on and, whatever. Yeah. Something like that was kind of what I thought was going to happen.
They spend the day talking.
Yeah. And then they're like, you know what? I don't want to die like this. Let's just go outside. So they go outside. And I'm like, he doesn't even try to hold his breath.
And they make the decision for the little girl and just drag her out there.
They drag her out there. I'm like, all right, I guess, all right. But then he doesn't even, like, I'm like, is he going to, like, you could probably hold your breath the whole distance. Like, I don't know if that's how it works, but it seems like that might be how it works.
And then the event's over.
Yeah.
That's how the movie ends.
It just was over.
There's no solution.
It ended. They did say, and to be fair, they did say earlier that it would probably peak and end around, like, 10 the next day or something like that. Like, there was a guy on TV who's like, according to this graph I made up, it'll end tomorrow morning. It's like, okay. So it just ends. And there's a great ADR line because they didn't make sure that it was clear enough. Because they just, like, hug and they're in the middle of the field and nothing happens. And then it kind of cuts out of the shot. And there's an ADR line of Mark going, the event must have ended before we got out here.
The event must have ended before we went out there.
It's like we had to add that line in to make sure the audience knew what was going on here.
And then, how much later is it?
I don't know. I don't know if it says.
Well, point being, it's not a lot of time.
No, a couple months or something maybe. And I was like, I really wish the epilogue of this movie was just them in therapy for PTSD after having watched two children get their fucking heads blown off with a shotgun from 4 feet away.
they're now the guardians of the little girl.
The little girl, John Leguizamo's daughter.
She's going just the first day of school. So Deshnow's like, here, let me take this photo of here's your very dead parents.
Oh, wait. I'm just gonna put this right here. Okay?
Take it with you. And then there's a news report.
Then she gives the first and only line of hers in the movie.
Yes, Aunt Alma. I love you.
So then a fucking news report comes on. Or like and they're talking about the event. So it can't be too much longer after. And they're like, well, we don't, it was just and they literally, and this is fucking drove me insane. The guy on the guy on the news literally says the exact line Mark Wahlberg said in the beginning of the movie.
This was an act of nature, and we'll never fully understand it.
An act of nature, and we'll never fully understand it.
I'm like, you can't just write the same line of dialogue to make your character seem so brilliant.
Hang on. I think we just learned something. The jock kid is like the smartest character in the whole movie.
And he's got a perfect face, and Mark Wahlberg just wants to stick his dick in him. It's really weird. I was like, that's a weird thing to say as a teacher to a kid, but sure.
Yeah. So the movie. And then they have to throw a whole preggers.
Oh yeah,
preggers.
Which is stupid. Okay, maybe this is on purpose, but it's like they didn't fucking learn anything. So the whole premise is that the plants probably killed us because we're destroying the environment. Not probably. The plants killed us because we're destroying the environment. Probably one of the reasons we're destroying the environment is from overpopulation, right? So what do? They decide to have a fucking kid. Like, you just got done, the Earth was just telling you stop doing that, and you're like, happy ending, we're having a baby.
Brian, we didn't listen. We didn't listen.
Which is why, and maybe that is the point, because in another little extra scene after, they're in Paris, and I was like, I've been to that park. I was like, I recognize, I've actually been to that park in Paris. And they're like walking around, and then the wind blows, and then people start walking backwards.
Pourquoi?
Pourquoi? This movie sucks.
This movie...
But it is.
It is good bad.
Good bad.
It is definitely
good bad. I mean, I had 3 or 4 moments of just full guttural, like out loud laughter at some of the lines. The oh no and the what no and fucking. There was just so many moments like that of just holy shit, lost myself.
Those are the things that save this from becoming Prometheus.
Yeah. And it's not as obnoxious to me scientifically because it's mostly just bullshit. Whereas the character motivations, at least in this, most of the motivations of the characters made sense. Like, I'll just plug again, if you want to hear my thoughts on Prometheus. Wow, we really hit like every episode of our old podcast.
We did 2012, we did Prometheus, Last of Us, Transformers.
Transformers 2 and Transformers 4. But anyways, all of those are the audio format of the show, before that was video, are available on our Patreon for just $2 a month. So, it's really funny that they almost all naturally came up like in the course of the conversation. Anyways, so yeah, but it's good bad, man. It's nonsense, but it's great, silly nonsense, and it's just I can't believe they thought this was a scary movie. Ooh. They had to have realized halfway through this is a comedy. They had to have.
Mm-hmm. What? No.
All right, let's go do it because I'm fucking dying of heat exhaustion. I'm sweating to death in this room.
Watch this movie, cherish it. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's fucking great. It's so fun.
This is definitely 2 hours of laughter.
It's an hour and a half, which is good too. It's nice and short. And it gets right into it. And yeah, I was like, oh, thank God, it's only an hour and 30. Perfect. Well, that's a recommend on its own. If it's only an hour and 30 minutes long, it's good fun. It's a good fun movie to sit around and laugh at, and because then you get to sit around and do your Mark Wahlberg voice the whole time. Oh, what? No.
Wow.
What?
No, that's Owen Wilson. I want to do this Marky Mark and Owen Wilson in a movie together.
And Owen Wilson from Anaconda.
Yeah.
That'd be great. What? No. Wow. What? No. They're like merging. I can't separate them in my head now. It's like, what? Wow. No. Wow.
Wow, buddy. And
that's a buddy cop movie we need. Mark Wahlberg and Owen Wilson. That'd be fucking great. Have they ever been in a movie together? They probably have. I don't know what. I can't place it.
We'll call it Patriots Day 2.
That would be great. Anyways, guys. Until next time, keep watching movies, especially. And I said especially, not especially. One fucking random commenter.
The Happening.
The Happening. Starring Mark Wahlberg.